Hello, the aim of this lesson is to show level 3 students about doing a fairy house, and it's not to show you how to do from start to finish, but it's how to give you ideas, give you a bit of inspiration. Now I've been on the internet and I've got my inspiration from a few pieces of research here which I'll be referring to. I've got a board as my base. I've got different equipment, modelling tools, paintbrush, rolling pin, a little bit of water, corn flour or icing sugar is fine, and I've got a different selection of sugar paste here which I'll be using. So first of all, I quite like these designs where the base is a little bit raised up, so it's not as flat, it's just straight onto a board. So I'm going to show you how I can get that effect. Now first of all, I've found some sugar paste that it's been used for something else. So this sugar paste I can use underneath to give the height, so underneath the sugar paste to give the height for my house. So I'm just going to use this and I can make it quite rough. I want a flat area where the house is going to sit, but apart from that I can just mould it how I want to. Perhaps the house is going to sit there. I might bring that more towards the back. And it's got a path, so my house might have a path coming down. And you can see I'm working quite rough here. But just making sure I've got a flat section there to build it up. So that sugar paste can be old sugar paste that I need to use up but I've got left over from something else. It's a good way of doing that. And then I've got some gooseberry here. And I'm just going to cover that sugar paste, the board, with a layer of green. So I won't see that blue at all. This isn't anything new, but I don't want this sugar paste to be thin. I've decided I want to make a bit of a feature of the board. So if my sugar paste is thin, then what will happen, it will be just flat. So I'm rolled my sugar paste quite thick, as you can see. I'm then going to put water on the sugar paste, on the board, with a very small brush, I must admit. I apologise if you can hear the washing machine in the distance. I'll put it on. My washing machine takes about an hour and a half to do a cycle. So, all over. There's the sugar paste on. And you can see straight away that sugar paste underneath. You can't see the colour, but you can see it's given me a raised section on the board. Knife. I want to get something. There we go. If your knife's a little bit on the sharp side, use the back of your knife to cut it off, or you can use your palette knife. So it's a little bit rough, but I'm going to work on it. Now, I want to give that a little bit more of a rounded edge. So I'm just smoothing it down. And you can use a cake smoother for this as well. So you can see that I'm rounding down around the edge. I can trim that a little bit more of that off if I need to. Just work on it. So this is an imaginary house, isn't it? So you can't go wrong with this. So you can see I've got that edge a lot more rounded than just a thin piece of sugar paste cut off. I want to give it a bit more style to it. There we go. Another way that I can raise up my house is by putting something on top of the sugar paste. So I've got some brown sugar paste here. You can use any colour. And as with modelling, working that paste so it's nice and pliable. Working the paste so it's got no cracks in it, so it's nice and smooth. When you do modelling, you really need short nails. Okay, a little bit too big. Now this is soft, I've just rolled it out, and this is soft. So I shouldn't need anything to stick it down together, but if you think, oh, it's not quite sticking, a little bit of water will be fine. So this can be like representing a stone. So my house might be sitting on a stone. Watching out for cracks, making sure that that's nice and smooth. Put a few stones coming down my path. You really need to get some good research for this to be inspired. I've got some pink sugar paste. And you can see what I'm doing, because this is modelling, I need to soften this sugar paste quite a lot. This is quite firm sugar paste, this Renshaw's, which is good for what I'm going to do, because it's going to be the base of my house. So I need it that little bit firmer so that it'll hold the shape when the roof goes on. And doing a little bit of gum tragacanth is also a good idea to give that extra bit of dryness to the paste, and also it helps it to dry a little bit harder. Now when it comes to modelling, you need to figure out what size you need, and it's always a good idea to do it a few times until you're pleased with it. So the paste is a little bit softer. I think I've got the right size, but as I say, I might need to do it a few times before I say I have. And I just want to, because it's quite a big ball of paste, I think I'm just going to bring you a little bit closer so you can see better. I need to work it. And you can see I'm working up, spending time making it soft, making it crease free, and also to get a little bit of a shine on it as well. Okay, then I'm trying to get the shape, so I'm aiming for a more of a teardrop shape, but this might develop as I go. Check the size. So I'm smoothing it off. I'm not leaving it and then working on something else and coming back to it, because this paste will, it's, as I say, it's a bit on the dry side and it will start to skin over, so I'm working at it, but I'm not rushing the time I'm spending on it. It's really important to get this right. So I'm trying to get more of a going in at the bottom and more pointed on top. Just work on it and look, keep checking that you've got no cracks, it's the right shape. And I'm just putting a little bit of water on top of there. That size is okay for what I want, but you know, if I want it a little smaller, then I'll start again. Just take a little bit off. And you can see it's got quite a nice shine to it. So I quite like this picture here. I quite like it. I've used the same colour actually. And then I'll need to decide what sort of roof I'm going to do. But what I want to show you is different roof, different tops to my toadstool, to my fairy house, to give you an idea of how you can do this. So this paste is a little bit softer, I've just coloured it. I've just got grey. But you can see, although I've coloured it recently, I'm still working at it so it's got that little bit of softness to it. Okay, so let's give you a few ideas on how you can do the roof. So I could just have a plain roof. And because this is at a point, I would put an indent here, so that would fit on nicely. And what I could do with this one is once it's on, I could put tiles on it. That would look quite nice. You know, cut out squares or cut out semicircles and build it up with tiles. Very similar to this house here. That would be fine as well. What I'd like to do is leave this to dry before I put the roof on. So I'd leave that a few days for it to dry. So that's one way of doing a roof, a top. Another way, as you can see, I'm working the paste, making sure that's soft before I work it out, making sure that for this one I want this nice and pointed at the top, and bringing it out. It's almost like a witch's hat shape. Now you can see that needs a lot of work to it. Smoothing it off. Making sure I've got an indent so that it'll fit onto the point. I'm just thinking how you can see this. So. Okay, now the higher you go, so you can see that I'm working it, I'm spending some time smoothing down any cracks, getting rid of any nail marks I might have. Not rushing it at all, because the standard of this work does really need to be very good. Now if you're working high like I am here, you might want to put a support in there. You might find it will stay. Depends what sort of shape you're looking for. There we go. Now, if I do put an internal support in there, which might be a plastic or it might be some sort of plastic stick, piece of dowel, plastic dowel, then what I do need to do is obviously tell the customer. So if this isn't going on a cake, I could put wire in there if it's not going to be eaten. If you're doing competition work, it'll always tell you whether you can use internal supports or not. Okay, so you could do a roof like that. I think that would stay actually. It'd stay in look if I wanted it in that position. It's always better if you can get away not using internal supports. If it's going on a cake and you've got internal supports, then you do need to do a disclaimer for the customer. Okay, so that's one sort of roof. If I wanted to do a twisted roof, like this one here, then I would need to do it in two sections. So decide on the size. Cut it in half. And roll it into two very long teardrops, roughly the same shape and size. Now there's two ways I can do this. I can take the two pieces together and twist them. Smoothing it down, get rid of all those cracks and lumps and bumps. Watching them out for nail marks, watching for the indents. You can't go back to this, you can't leave it and then go back to it, so it's got to be perfect before you leave it. If you do have any marks that you cannot get rid of, then you can cover it with something. I quite like the curly tips to these roofs. So I can put little windows, doors, flowers, bushes, toadstools on there. Okay. So I'll try and take that off and show you another way. So if you want more of a toadstool look to your roof, like this one here, then you need two colours. And this will be up to you how big you do it. You can see I'm working the paste, making it nice and smooth, nice and soft, pliable, but also so it's got that little bit of a shine to it. So for the toadstool house, making it nice and smooth, working at the edge. I want a domed top to it. I can put little spots on this, like a traditional toadstool. I could put a little chimney on there. Then, oh, this could be my underneath. So working the paste, flattening it out, but still slightly less dome this time. I want it smaller than the first one. So you can see slightly domed. I'm just going to turn this over. I'll put a little bit of water on just in case it doesn't stick. So one on top of the other. Working back to the edge, but joining the two up mainly. Just fiddling with it really, modelling it and working it and get it exactly the way you want it to look. If it doesn't work first time, modelling in the very rarely does. You can do it a few times, spend time on it to get the basics right. I've got my Dresden tool holding the iPad, so I'm just going to switch it. Okay. Dresden tool here, and I'm going to use the sharp edge. You can use the back of a knife as well. And I'm just going from the centre to the outside. I'm cupping my hand to keep that dome effect. On the edge, I need to bring it in, but I can go around with that afterwards. As many lines on as I want. A little bit of an indent. So that it will fit nicely on, and if I wanted it to stay on, a little bit of water. Put that looking like that, coming back, coming to the side. And some nice little spots on there will look lovely. Okay, just to give you a few ideas. Thank you.